Bolgerov Galer. Everybody's very, very welcome to the first of our travel clinics for today, Saturday. And it's a big year for soccer fans and for France in general. What we are going to do over the next 30 minutes or so is impart some knowledge, some advice about how to navigate your way through France 2016. We've 50,000 people will come through the Simmons Court, the RDS Simmons Court, over the next couple of days, and under this roof we've assembled a large number of travel experts, people who will answer your questions. In the age of the internet, it's very hard to get somebody that you can eyeball and look in the face and say, well, tell us the real story here, rather than having to spend time Googling and searching on the internet or going into different answer forums and boards. So I'm very, very privileged to have Dave Buckley from Celtic Horizons Tours on the left, and on the right Michael Castellan. Michael Castellan would be formerly of 747 Travel, or are you still from 747 Travel? I think Michael would have run tours. Both of them are very experienced with that very specialist area of sports tourism. Sports tourism is not for the weak-hearted. It means conveying huge numbers of people into an already overcrowded city, finding beds for them, transferring them from airports to stadia and back again, and also to play around with the whole notion of tickets, which can be immensely difficult to get. Now, France 2016 is one of the more complicated sports tourist stories I've come across in my time. It's obviously a very expanded tournament. It's a very disparate tournament because France is a big country, and the organisers decided for the first time not to actually have teams based in a particular locality or a particular region. And that means that anybody who's decided to follow the two soccer teams who've come from the island of Ireland, or any of the other teams, will have a lot of travelling to do. How much do we know about what's going to happen in France 2016? Really surprisingly little. We know that since the beginning of December that the FA of Ireland team is going to be playing in Paris, and then in Bordeaux, and then in Lille. We know that the Northern Ireland team is going to be playing in Marseille, and then Lyon, and then Paris. This creates huge challenges for the Irish travelling public and for the Irish fans. And sorting out those challenges isn't easy, but it's even more difficult considering the lack of information we have about how ticketing is going to work. Last Monday, the deadline came for the online application process for tickets. We know that people can apply. There are blocks of tickets for Irish fans, and then there are also blocks of tickets for international fans. We don't know if the tickets are going to be allocated as of yet, and in what way they're going to be allocated. Normally, the official tour agency partner, travel partner of the FA of Ireland will get an allocation of tickets. It would be 15% of the tickets that the FAI have been allocated. That doesn't seem to be happening this time. We're not absolutely sure what's happening, but Abbey Travel, who are the official partners of the FA of I, haven't really put anything out there. The packages have gone on sale, but the packages with tickets that they would normally have put on sale, some of them seem to be now advertised without tickets. Would that be fair to say, guys? My read of this is that our first match, Ireland against Sweden, is going to be a very, very accessible match. There are 82,000 seats in the stadium. The Swedes won't be travelling in the numbers that the Irish will, and there's loads and loads of beds in Paris. I think the third match in Lille could also be easily reached from Paris. It's about an hour and a half from Paris. The big problem match is the one in between the two, down in Bordeaux. And it'll be very, very interesting to know how Irish people fare in getting those tickets, and then how they manage in terms of basing, where they want to base themselves, and how they can actually take in that huge journey down to Bordeaux and all the way back up again to Lille. You're talking about journey times of 7-8 hours. Bordeaux is not a one-day drive from the ferry, for example. How are we getting there? There's going to be lots of airline capacity, and there's going to be day trips as well. So without further ado, I'm going to ask a couple of questions to both Dave and to Michael. But this is your show, this is your forum, so we have spotters. Put your hand up and tell us, we'll get a microphone to you and ask a question. And if we can answer the question on the stage here, I'm going to make sure that you don't leave the show today without getting some class of an answer. That's my guarantee or my promise to you guys. Dave, you've been tell me about Celtic Horizons, start of all. You do a lot of soccer tourism, you're very big into Premiership, and you've been doing this for many, many years, bringing Irish fans all over Europe.
That's correct, Owen. Like I say, the big challenge this year are the distances involved from location to location. For the last Euro finals in Poland, we based ourselves in Poznan, and we ran coaches to the other matches from Poznan, so we were able to stay for 12 nights in the one location and go from there on day trips to the different locations for the matches. That's not feasible this time around. And like you say, accommodation in and around the Paris area is available, but in and around Bordeaux it's a major challenge to get accommodation. You're also going into the holiday season down below there, where people are already, accommodations fairly tight down there. So Bordeaux is going to be the major challenge, and for that reason, as a company, we are mainly concentrating on day charters in and out on the one day.
Michael, 747 Travel, for many, how many decades have you been bringing Irish fans? I think it's since Johnny Giles was manager and Eamon Dunphy was playing and things like that. And what do you see is how it's going to pan out?
I can't exactly remember my first match, but it was in 1971, and as it turns out, it was a charter to Paris. And I took it over rather speculatively, because at the time, another tour operator had actually chartered the aircraft, and he got cold feet. But I was young and didn't see any fear at that stage. That's the time when I was able to jump off 12-foot walls and not hurt my feet. So anyway, it was successful.
I don't know if anyone remembers back that far, but in 1971 we didn't have any fans because Ireland went for 5 years without winning a single match. From the victory in the Czechoslovakia that Ray Tracy scored the winning goal up till a match they won in 1972, I think it was. So well done, Michael, for being brave to bring people to a match there.
So anyway, now it's 2016 and I need to be even more brave to carry out the programme that I've selected. So anyway, of course, everything in life and in business is a challenge. And we have to be positive and look to it. The logistics of it, as Owen has said, are huge, having to go from Paris down to Bordeaux, and we have a lot of people who want to do that, and we are going to take them down on the TJV, which is like the bullet train in Japan. You look out the window and you got a reeling in your head. It flies, literally. And that journey is 500 kilometres. But even more onerous is the one from Bordeaux in the southwest up to almost the northeast to Lille. And we're looking at that. We haven't actually published a programme to cover the 3 matches at the moment because we regard that as likely to be very, very expensive, and we don't want to come out with a package which is not going to sell. And so we're doing a 2-match package, 3 nights in Paris. We're breaking it up, 3 nights in Paris and 3 nights in Bordeaux. Owen has mentioned that Paris has a lot of hotels. Paris has a lot of hotels, a huge number of hotels, but at huge, huge prices when it comes to an important high-profile event like 2016 UEFA. So anyway, we're breaking it up. We're giving them a 3-night experience in Paris and 3 nights in Bordeaux. And those who want a ready-made, bespoke 2-night package to Paris for the first match, we have plans in place for that as well. The 2 most popular matches we think or feel are going to be Sweden and Belgium. And we're doing a separate one for the Belgian match, going out. That's a weekend trip, going out Friday afternoon about 3 o'clock and coming back at 4 o'clock on the Sunday the 19th. So that's the smaller stadium, and Belgium is a very high profile team, as I'm sure a lot of you know, and the Belgians, unlike the Swedes, are likely to travel in huge numbers, so there's going to be extreme pressure on tickets there. But as you alluded to, there's 15% tickets now going to be distributed to the travelling fans, and the FAI do have the capacity, despite the fact that a lot of people criticise them for not recognising who goes to matches and who don't, but they do have records, and I think that they will try and accommodate the people who have been travelling for the qualifiers in the competition.
This would be the Club Ireland members?
Yes, and those who rely on people like myself to do the secretariat work.
I know, I'm very interested that you say Belgium would be the more popular than Italy, because Italy's a bigger stadium and nearer to Paris.
Well, I understand that the Belgians are more fanatical. I was in Stockholm, just outside Stockholm, for a match last year. Ireland were involved. Which competition was that? Was it the present? Yeah, it was the early part of these qualifiers. And the Swedes, they were there in numbers, but certainly not in huge numbers, which you'd think they would be in their own country, which was just in the environs of Stockholm, the principal city in Sweden.
Great. Dave, day trips, is that the answer to all our problems? Because, as Michael says, hotels have been expensive. Particularly Bordeaux seems to have a small bed stock, and everything seems to be bought up by some of the big tour operators already.
Well, as Michael was saying as well, one thing that we can't understand is none of these countries seem to learn from the experiences of what's gone on before. No more than with London with the Olympics. These cities discover that the ordinary tourists who will go there stay away from when there's a big event on. But yet the hotels put their prices up, quadruple their prices, in the expectation that they're going to make a major hit. Now, they will be ringing operators like us 3 and 4 weeks out when all the beds come back to them that they can't sell.
That's what happened at the South Africa World Cup, isn't it?
It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
And the hotels never seem to learn the lesson. They come up with these mad prices. For example, our trip to Poland, we did it for, I think, over €1,600 for the 3 matches by coach. We costed it out for this this year in France, and it's working at 2,500 per person.
2,500.
Yeah, then it won't sell at that price.
So you're not doing coaches.
We're not doing coaches. We're just going to concentrate on the day trips by air.
And when you say mad prices, what's the highest price you've ever seen for?
Generally in around Paris, as Michael was saying, decent hotels are looking for €400 or €500 a night. The nearest hotels at the moment in Bordeaux are an Ibis in Bordeaux was quoting close on €400 a night.
€400 a night
for an Ibis.
And remind me what happened with the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup in Cardiff. Did they go to €1,000 a night for some of the hotels?
Oh, some of the hotels, yeah, when it got closer to the mark, or something in around £1,000 a night. But again, like I say, what happened in London with the Olympics, they discovered to their cost, 4 or 5 weeks out, that they hadn't sold rooms, and that the ordinary tourists were staying away. So it actually cost them money in the long run. But this happens any location where there's a Champions League final, around these big venues. It happens every single time.
425 for the Sweden day trip, Michael. 475 for the Belgium, and 425 for the Italian. Are you bringing your fans into Paris or into Charleroi or somewhere for the Italian match? Sorry, the Italian match, the third match, Lille. What airport are you using for Lille? Are you using Lille Airport, are you?
There's, I think your question is probably born out of the notion you've heard that Lille Airport closes down. It's one of those few airports that close down and closes down at 11 o'clock at night and doesn't reopen until something like 6 o'clock in the morning. So we're awaiting with bated breath the outcome of that, whether they'll make any allowances for extenuating circumstances or events such as UEFA 2016. Otherwise, we have plans in place to operate into some other nearby airport.
Right.
But that then would involve a coach journey. But we're on the market based on the assumption that it will go into Lille, and that we can perhaps, it's a late night match, it's 9 o'clock, So by the time it's over, it's 11:30, 11:45 or something like that, by the time they're out of the stadium. So maybe they'll find a few bars or restaurants to keep them occupied for a couple or a few hours, and then we bring them to the airport and then avoid the long journey by coach to whichever other airport.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, Italia 90-day trips were about £300 Irish at the time. So to get them for €425, 26 years later, it's almost like it's cheaper now to support the Irish team than it was during the madness of Italia 90. Well done, guys. Any questions from the floor? This is your show. I don't want to be leading, hogging your... There's a gentleman here in the third row.
Speak right. Just for security reasons, would that be tightened over there?
I didn't get the question, sorry.
Security reasons, that be tightened.
Would the security be tightened? Yeah, this is a big question, lads. The security with Paris and all of that, do you see any problems popping up? Will security be tightened up, and will it cause difficulties for fans, particularly if you're trying to get them to and from Ireland on the same day? Do you want to take that, Michael? Either of you?
Well, for all the unfortunate events of a couple of months ago, yes, security will be uppermost in people's minds, and that in itself will probably ensure that people should not be concerned about security, because the French are very good when it comes to security, and even at the best of times I've noticed going in to Stade de France that security is very tight there, and I don't honestly think that it is an issue. It may be in people's minds, but Paris is a huge big city, so they can't catch us all.
And Dave, you've brought fans to very strange places in the past, so security wouldn't be any different really for France than it would be for some of the matches.
I mean, even at the moment in the UK now for Premier League matches, you know, there's searches going into the stadium, and I'm just smiling there. I was recalling a number of years ago, both Michael and I, we had ran charters to Tel Aviv for the Ireland-Israel game, and the security there was, you know, very, very strong. And I remember jumping the queue. Actually, Michael was in the queue, halfway up the queue, and I just started in front of him to get in. But everybody was bodying search going into the stadium, and you know, it doesn't get any stranger than Israel when it comes to security.
So your answer really is that security shouldn't be. You shouldn't even consider it, because it would. You've been to Tel Aviv before. You've been to Belgrade. You've been to places like that. That fans cope well with the whole security thing.
They do. I mean, it's in, and even like the likes of Moscow for the Champions League final, and that it's just a matter of taking your time and, you know, just answering the questions when you're asked. And you know,
I was coming back through Lyon Airport just before the Saturday before Christmas, and the security queue was 1 hour and 40 minutes to get through the airport security. So I think what happened that weekend was there was a threat. They didn't convey that to us, but I would expect Euro fans to have to cope with that quite regularly. So I think the Irish fans are very good in the delay situation. There's a very famous story told that they were put in cages when they landed in Sicily during Italia 90. They were put on the dockside in cages, and they started going bah, bah, like that. And the Italian fans, the Italian police had this expectation that they were dealing with English fans, that they were dealing with all these mad people, and the Irish started baaing like sheep. So it was very, very famous. It's recorded in one of the videos at the time. Any questions? More questions from the floor here? Have we somebody? I saw a hand go up. Oh, yeah, here we are. Great.
I don't know, do you know the situation in relation to trains? I believe trains are very often booked up. And if a train is booked out, can you actually get on with you know, say like you have a ticket. I was hoping to get a ticket to cover the whole of France for a few weeks, you know, and be travelling around by train. I don't know what you know anything about that.
Okay. What are the chances of getting an Interrail ticket that you can jump on the TGV from Paris down to Bordeaux? I'd say they're very limited. The trains will be booked up. Do you want to take that, Dave?
Well, the Interrail tickets don't work on the TGV anyway. They just work on the standard trains. So I can't see an issue with the standard trains, but you certainly won't get on the TGVs. They have to be pre-booked in advance.
And will they be booked out?
Oh, absolutely, yes, absolutely. And again, the TGV doesn't run it late at night. night, just runs during the daytime. I didn't get 8 o'clock.
TGV just runs by day. So
just by day, yeah.
How long does an ordinary train take down to Bordeaux?
TGV?
No, the slow train, for want of a better word. It's about 11 hours or something, isn't it?
It's a crazy distance time frame. Yeah,
it's huge.
Yeah.
I know. If you're doing your drive over, it's just that little bit beyond the drive. Like you'll get as far, what most people will do is get as far as Nantes or Loire Valley or something like that, and overnight, and then go down to Bordeaux the second day. It's a hell of a drive, and the ferry story is also a bit of an issue because this is the worst nightmare for the ferries. They love the business, but they're already booked up in June. Isn't that fair to say? You do an awful lot of work with the ferries, Dave.
Yeah, we like the ferries will be one of our major modes of transport off the island. And again, they absolutely hate the likes of the Euros because they're full that time of the year anyway. And people say, well, can't they put other ships on or can't they change the schedule? You just can't do that. They're slotted in. They go at certain times and they're tied into their turnaround times. They cannot change their schedule.
Even if they were to take the Ulysses, for instance, and throw it on the French route, you have to get permissions and staff training and certification and everything. So the option isn't really there for extending the ferry capacity. Although I have said in the past that if you were to do that campsite option, the Loire Valley and the Vendée is the place to do it. Park the family there, and you'd be about 6-7 hour drive down to Bordeaux and a 6-7 hour up to Lille and to Paris. There wouldn't be that much difference between them. It is doable, but there's a lot of driving for the individual matches if anyone was planning going that route. Is it better, Michael, do you find, the problem you were saying about the hotel prices? Almost always, if you move out of the city centre, you can find hotels. I know you did that very successfully in Poland. You found very, very good value in hotels that weren't close to the matches. Is that option there for you in France?
Well, when we went to Poland, as you just said, we stayed in a place called Bydgoszcz, which was equidistant between Poznan and Gdansk. And that was a good idea then. It worked very well. But to move out from such a positive city as Paris and be 10 miles south or 20 miles south or 20 miles north, I don't think would be the most acceptable thing. People want to be
in the heart of the city,
in the heart of things, and
it would be more an option in Bordeaux because there are very few beds in Bordeaux, surprisingly few in the city in Bordeaux.
Yeah, well, in our case, to be honest, and we've advised all the people who have booked so far, we're not going to have them right in the heart of Bordeaux because the prices and the expectations of the hoteliers are absolutely ridiculous. So we'll have them about 7 or 8 kilometres outside with good tram or public transport connections to the actual centre. And even out that far, the prices are still twice what they should be.
Right, okay.
But, they're in the driving seat and we have to just play with the cards we're dealt.
And you can't wait, as Dave says, the hotels drop their prices with 6 weeks to go. You guys have to buy now, isn't that the game?
That's absolutely correct, yeah. We couldn't take that chance.
Yeah. I know it's a hard question, but I'll ask you, Dave, what is going to happen with tickets? How many Irish fans do you think will get tickets? You've been doing this game for so long, you know how we're pretty good at getting tickets, I think, in general, aren't we? We're good at playing the internet and all that stuff.
We're good at kind of ferreting them out wherever they are, but the portal itself has closed at the moment. The UEFA application portal has closed, and they're saying they won't announce it until late February before people will know if they're getting tickets or not. So it's when that happens, and then we'll see how many tickets the FAI have, and that's when the fun and games will start, trying to see who actually has the tickets and where we can get tickets from.
And same question, Michael, how many Irish fans do you think will be at the giant stadium when they ran on the field and we were told there'd be no Irish fans, we couldn't get tickets, and it was overwhelmingly Irish. That Italian match, Ray Houghton goal after 6 minutes. How many Irish fans? Will it be like that when we play Sweden? Will they run on the field and 80 of the 82,000 fans will be from Ireland?
I really don't know where this 276,000 application has come from. Obviously, it's multiple applications, and we all know that 276,000 Irish are not going to leave from Ireland to go there. There will be the Irish who live in the UK who will go there because of its proximity and so on. When it came to Giant Stadium, as Owen has just mentioned, all those years ago against Italy, they came from literally all over Canada, and all over the States. Everybody who is Irish, or even their grandmother or the grandfather was from Ireland, they were there. So that's the difference.
And will it be 10, 12,000?
I think that's the figure I have in my head.
Right.
You know.
And I know it's not our territory, Dave, but the North, Peter McMahon and Travel Solutions has the same issue with beds and everything like that. And people who are supporting the North, it's really day trips that they're looking to solve that problem as well.
Yeah, primarily day trips. And there's a bigger favour up the North for it than there is here, because clearly they haven't been in the finals for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal up there at the moment. And I was just talking to Peter during the week, and they have the exact same issue with tickets that we have down here. They just don't know as of yet.
I think they're talking about 20,000 might be travelling.
They're expecting that for the first game.
It was at Belfast Holiday World Show last week. Listen, we're down to the end of our time, but if anybody got a question, we can... France 2016, we actually aren't able to answer any questions until the ticketing process is there. But remember, Celtic Horizons and 747 Travel will be bringing you there. They'll be operating day trips, and there could be 2-day packages, and things could get even more interesting if you guys hear back from the fans exactly that you want different types of trip. You've been a great audience. Thank you to Michael and today for giving up their time. I'd love to finish with the little over the head backflip that Ray Houghton did after scoring the winning goal against Italy off the stage, but unfortunately I wouldn't be able to up for that. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, audience. And we're moving on to cruise and expedition, classic and expedition cruising in a few minutes' time if you want to stay seated. Thank you very much, guys. Well done. It was great. That's great. Well done. Great. Thank you.